Okay. Hi, everyone. Give everyone a minute here. We have everyone coming in. Okay, welcome everyone. We're going to get started here. We'll just about in a minute here. Okay, yeah, we have quite a number of attendees. That's good. Okay, do you think we should go ahead?
Yeah, let's go ahead and get started.
Okay, all right. I got the thumbs up. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Well, hi, everyone. Welcome to the top 5 NetSuite mistakes costing you time and money and how to fix them. We're really thrilled that you could be here today, especially given I know it's back to school. A lot of things are going on. In fact, my husband, who's a principal at a high school, just started today. So we know everyone's lives are busy. So we're going to keep this very short and sweet. And we chose this topic because through Techfino has been around for 10 years, and we've seen a lot of recurring challenges that customers have. And we've learned quite a few number of things over the years on how to fix things and help our customers. And so with that, let me introduce myself. So I'm a customer success manager here at Techfino. Just celebrated my 2-year anniversary here in August. I bring over 12 plus years of SaaS software experience, including prior to Techfino, I was at NetSuite Oracle and worked under their account management team as well as their ACS, their advanced customer support. So definitely know the licensing and the roadmap with NetSuite. But focused today on customer success, long-term growth with all of our existing and new customers. So today, just a few highlights. We're going to cover quick wins, just very practical strategies, all to boost efficiency. So hopefully you can take a few things away. I know some have submitted questions, so we've built some of that into the session today. But if anything comes up, please feel free to put it in the chat window. We'll get to questions at the end. We'll leave a few minutes to answer those. And then remember, please, there's a free strategy session. So everyone that attends today gets a free one-on-one with a consultant. So you can apply what you learned. And so yeah, we really appreciate all of our clients. So with that, let me pass it over to Jonathan and he'll get us started.
Thank you, Alyssa. Yeah, my name is Jonathan Holly. Thank you for joining us all today. I am a solution architect here at Techfino and have been in the NetSuite space for about 11 years myself, both customer side as well as consulting, and even did a little stint with NetSuite Direct as well. So I've kind of seen it from all angles, all sides, and I've definitely sat where you guys are sitting today and understand what it looks like to run it as a customer and what those challenges bring over many years. So we wanted to, bring you guys this webinar to talk about some of the things that we see, day to day with our customers that, ways that they can improve NetSuite, right? Ways that they may not be taking full advantage of it. We whittled it down to 5, right? There could be a lot more. And my goal, I hope that most of you walk away from this webinar going, none of that really applied to me, because hopefully you're taking full advantage of the system and you don't have these issues. But if 1 or 2 of them are things that you deal with or ways that you can improve your system, great. Hopefully you learn something from this and that we can help you going forward and just make your system work better for you. That's the goal of all of this, right? So that being said, let me show you here our journey for the day. These are our top 5 that we're going to go through. So we're going to talk about kind of using some automations, how we can streamline those. We're going to make things actionable on our dashboards. We've talked in the past about reporting and dashboards. If you've seen some of our past webinars, we want to make sure that you can actually take action from them and that they are tailored to what you need in particular, and you're not just looking at some generic info. We're going to use our segmentation in the system, right? So we have segments in NetSuite that are great. We want to make sure that you are using those correctly and in a way that makes sense and gives you clarity. We want to talk about connecting our systems, right? Because we sometimes use other systems than NetSuite, and that's okay. So we want to talk about, hey, how can we make sure we connect those? And then finally, we want to talk about empowering our users. And that may be the biggest thing of all of these, right? Because at the end of the day, it's people that are using the system. It's only as good as its inputs as the people using it, taking advantage of it, right? So we're going to go through those in a little more detail, every one of them. I'll talk through them and show some examples of things too as we go through and jump in the system a little bit. So without further delay, let's go ahead and jump right in and let's talk about number 1 mistake, not leveraging automation and optimization. So what do we mean by that? There are a lot of things in the system that can be automated in a way that streamlines your processes. And a lot of times, right, we go live with NetSuite and we encourage you even as consultants to say, hey, let's use the system as it is intended out of the box. And make sure that you understand, what NetSuite's doing natively before we go and customize. We have so many customers that try to customize, and then, when they find out NetSuite is capable of doing something else that they didn't even realize, they would have maybe built the process completely differently. So we always encourage people, hey, use the system as it is, and then we'll build into it. So you guys are all customers in the system. You've been using it. Now is the time where we want to start taking advantage of the automation tools. That could be workflows, right? That we use in the system. We have the workflow builder. That could be automating these recurring tasks, whether that's through our reporting, through memorized transactions, using some of the automation tools that are part of the modules and things in the system, and then using those customizations to fit your processes, right? So let's look at a few of those things. We're gonna jump in the system here, and I'll show you what some of that can look like, right? First of all, if you haven't looked at workflows, I encourage you to look at workflows. It's a really cool tool in the system. I love to point out to people, I am not a developer. That's usually quickly obvious to people as I talk to them. I am not a developer, I don't code, but I build workflows all day long. And these are great tools that a power user, let's say, it's not everyone's going to do this, but power users can easily take advantage of this. It's a drag and drop tool. If you use approvals in the system, that's what is being used basically for most of your approvals, right? Are these workflows. So let's look at one here. Let me jump in. Let's do, let's say setting field values on an invoice. This is a native one that NetSuite's created, right? Oh, that's not a good one. Actually, let me jump out. Sorry. Let me find. Let's look at the suite approval workflow. That's a much better one. Sorry. There we go. This is overwhelming. This has a lot going on, and that's okay. You can see how I showed you one that literally had a single node to it. And here's one that has probably way too many and all these steps and how they flow through each other. This is a drag and drop editor, and we actually build in the steps to these to automate. In some cases, we're setting field values, logging actions. Maybe we're adding buttons in there to click to go to the next transaction or transform the record that we're working on. Maybe we're automating emails to send to people. So as you have a process in the system and you know it's going through all these steps and you are hoping that everyone is looking and doing what they're supposed to do, think about the workflow tool and how we can build that into the system to set certain field values easily, and automate those processes, whether it's transformations of records or alerting people as to what they need to do, or limiting things, locking records, things like that. There's a lot of things that we could do that. I could do an entire webinar series on the functionality of workflows. And at a certain point, it makes more sense to probably go with scripts, and that's okay too. But one of the great things about workflows is, like I said, you don't have to be a developer to use these. So if you have a fairly simple process that you occasionally need to tweak, this is a great tool that you can use because you can manage those changes without needing to come to us necessarily. We're always happy to help you with it, but you don't have to come to us to be able to figure that out, right, and make those changes. So this is a great tool for that as well. Now, some of the other things that are actually just easier, quicker wins, a lot of times we have customers that say, hey, I've got data on this record that I want to get somewhere else, and my users are copying and pasting things, right? You don't need to do that either. There are a lot of ways that we can source that information. It can be done with a workflow as well, but it can be as simple as doing that within a custom field. So let's say I'm going to create a custom field on an entity, and you can see maybe I want to apply it to a customer. And you can see here the sourcing and filtering tab. This is where I can actually source this data from another record or the list. So let's say I want information from the customer showing up on the transaction. I already have a custom field on the customer, and I have a custom field for it on the transaction. But today, my sales reps are copying and pasting notes from one place to the other. Or I've done this a lot where we have some custom shipping information that we put on the sales order, and we want the warehouse team, when they see the fulfillment, to get all of those notes. We can use this sourcing and filtering of these fields and easily transfer that information to where it needs to go in another record, and someone can see it and take action with it as well, right? So lots of easy, quick ways that we can make sure that we're automating things, and setting fields and getting the information to where it needs to go without someone having to copy and paste it or re-enter it. Like I said, that can be as simple as a field level. That can even be at a whole transaction level. So there's lots of ways to do that. Going back to our slide here, right? This quick win. Think about something you do every day that you go, hey, I could save maybe just 10 minutes, maybe 30 minutes a day. That, hey, if I could automate this in NetSuite, that would save me so much time. I could focus on other things. So those are some quick wins. Think of those. If it's something that you need help with, we're happy to do that, right? So come to us, say, hey, is there a way that I can easily automate this so that I'm not doing this every single day? And some of that has to do with reporting as well. Maybe it's bringing other information into the system. We'll talk about that in a little more depth here in just a minute as well. Let me go on to our next one here. We're going to go to number 2. And that's dashboards without actionable KPIs. So like I said, we talked about dashboards and reports on one of our last webinars, and talked about, hey, how you can make sure that the folks in your organization are seeing the numbers that they need to see that make the most sense for them. And one of those things we said was, hey, if you have a Suite Success version of NetSuite, you got all these great dashboards and reports out of the box. Make sure you take advantage of those. Well, those are great, and they are awesome. You should take advantage of them. But now that you're in the system and you're working day to day, those reports may not tell the full picture or get exactly to the data that you want. And you probably find yourself a lot of times filtering through reports or exporting data out and dealing with it in Excel, which is fine. Excel's great, right? No problem there. But how much better would it be if you got the information that you needed in the way that you needed right in front of you within NetSuite, and you didn't have to worry about exporting data? When you export data, it's immediately dead, right? It's no longer real time. So you're keeping it within the system. You're going to make sure you have the most up-to-date version of that. And also, what it is you need to see. So let's jump back into the system. I'm going to show you one of the ways that we talk about this. One of the big things there are these KPI scorecards. You've probably seen these. We have this executive financials version here. And you may not know, because you may have gotten this out of the box and go, oh, okay, I've got this executive financials. Some of that's helpful, some of it's not, whatever. You can also come in here and change this. There are a lot of different KPI scorecards available, whether it's specifically around customers or board metrics or expenses or inventory, right? So you see these as you go into the dashboards of the different roles. They're already tailored to this. You may not know that you can also come in here and flip between these and say, okay, I want to see a KPI scorecard that's more focused on sales. Okay, and that's great, right? So you have the ability to flip between those two. Don't feel like you're limited to the thing that came out of the box here. And these are great tools because you get a lot of great information here. The KPI scorecards give you some really good timelines here, right? Some variations that you're going to track the variance over time here. The other thing that you may not know is you can create completely custom KPI scorecards. So as long as you have the permissions to do so, you will see that under centers and tabs, under the customization tab, and you'll see KPI scorecards. So I pulled one up, started working on it. I'll show you what that looks like here. One is I can just come in here and create all the KPIs that I want. So like I said, maybe that executive KPI scorecard that I had is pretty close, but I don't use 3 or 4 of those. They're just clogging things up. I would like them out of the way. And maybe there's 1 or 2 additional things that I would like to add. You can customize and come in here and say, okay, I want to use, a bank balance, and I want to add my cases closed, right? You can tailor this to all the things that matter to you in your role. And a lot of times we wear different hats, right? So many of us wear multiple hats within an organization. So being able to tailor this to the things that you need that may not follow those out of the box, roles and things that NetSuite gives us. This is very nice to create those for you. But the other thing you'll notice here is I can have custom KPIs. And what is that? Those are our saved searches in the system that I can now use within a KPI scorecard. So for instance, I had a saved search around customer churn. And so I went in here and I built that into a custom KPI. And then on my screen here where I'm building out, okay, what is the KPI going to show me? I put custom KPI number 1 here, right? And so I can add in, you see up to 10 in this case, custom KPIs that I can do within this one scorecard. And you can create multiple versions of it as well. So don't feel like you're limited to what's out of the box. Don't feel like you're limited to something that's just close enough. We can actually get you 100% of the way there, right? And we can do that using some of these existing KPIs and say, okay, we need to tweak it a little bit to make sure that it follows, the way that you need to look at your data, the way that you're reporting it. And that's what, now where we're trying to get to, right? Where we're going from that 80, 90% good enough to 100% what you need to see. Looking back at my dashboard, another way that we do that too is with our reminders here. Once again, a lot of great stuff out of the box that you can look at, but think about what are the things that you really need to see as far as the details of what you want to focus on. And one of them, I love the examples on here. Let me scroll down a little bit. And you can see invoices that are greater than 30 days old that are greater than $50,000. That's a custom one that came with a Suite Success version, so it has a C here as custom. That's one that you could build as well. Like I said, don't let a huge glut list of invoices get in the way of you getting to the things that you want to focus on the most. So if there is a very specific, piece of information you're trying to get to, build that into the custom reminders. Put it in a custom search on your dashboard. Make sure you get to that information more easily, right? That's what we want to make sure that you're seeing. Same thing with our key performance indicators here, where we can tailor those and add more of our standard KPIs, as well as adding custom KPIs here too, right? So once again, just like I said, the point here is don't just settle for good enough, right? We're at a point where you're mature as a customer, and we want you to be tailoring this to what you need to see specifically. And you can do this for all your different users. And then, as we talked about before, these can always be published out to your users as well. So you can create a dashboard that is a sales dashboard and publish it to your sales team, inventory, whatever it may be, right? You can create those different versions. Another thing that we talk about tailoring and making sure that you see in the system are some of the screens that you would see when you're just looking at a list of, say, sales orders, for instance. And those are the views that we would see of these. So as I bring up a list of sales orders, and you see my view here is the default view. I have a lot of other potential views out of the box here as well that I can use, like value, customer return, sales history, number of packages, things like that. But I can also customize this view. And all these views are saved searches. So once again, don't sit here and go, oh, now I've got to drill into each of these, or I need to create a saved search that I need to pull up somewhere else every time I want to quickly understand what's going on with my sales orders in this case, right? Come in here and actually build out the view that you want to see and make that the default for whichever users need to see it that way. So that, once again, they're not hunting, going to separate places to try to find the information. When they go to that list of sales orders, they're seeing it the way that they need to. And the way you can do that here is on this roles tab, and I can make this the preferred form for any of these roles, whether it's the list, the form, the results, a dashboard, whatever it may be. And so, like I said, you can come in here and say, okay, these users need to see it this way. And that's the key here. All right, I'm not going to beat a dead horse there. I think you guys get the point. There are a lot of different ways that we can do this, right? A lot of the different tools in the system. The key here is we want to get to what makes the most sense for you guys. And so like I said, if there's questions about, hey, what are ways that we can get to that, please let us know. We will definitely help you there. Let me get back out here and we'll go back to our little slideshow here. Number 3, not using segmentation effectively. So this is a big one. This is one of the first things we talk about when we implement you in NetSuite, right? We come in and we say, okay, what's your chart of accounts? And the next thing we say is, what are your segments, classes, departments, locations? This is usually a fairly new or at least more robust idea for our customers a lot of times, right? They may be coming from GP that has some dimensions, but they also end up with these long string, chart accounts within their GL structure. I know QuickBooks has classes, but now people are able to use departments and locations. And a lot of times customers don't know how to take the most advantage of those out of the box because they haven't had it before, right? It's brand new and they're trying to figure out what makes the most sense for them and how to take advantage of it. So something we want to revisit there is, are you using these segments in a way that makes the most sense for you? And maybe we need to tweak that strategy. Maybe you did come up with a strategy, but it's just not quite right. Or, and I'm sure people mention it to you, you can do custom segments as well. So if there's a 4th dimension, a 5th dimension, whatever other segment that you want to slice and dice your data by, we can build that into the system too. So pull it back up next here. We'll blow this back up. And so you've seen, this is an income statement that I have. Now I've thrown in the columns of class here, right? So once again, how is it that you need to see this? These are just very simple generic names. But this, a lot of times we see this as revenue streams, let's say, right? That's how we use classes. A lot of times our customers use departments as, their cost centers, their business units, something like that, right? And that makes sense. And you can see here in this case, right? I'm not flagging sales by department. I'm mostly focusing on my expenses at the department level. And that's great, right? And I always tell people, this is flexible. You can use it however you want. The problem there is sometimes people don't know quite yet how they want to do it. So it's good to revisit that strategy. Make sure that you're able to see your data in a segment that makes the most sense for you. And if you've gotten to a point where you are regularly trying to see things in a different way by something that could be an additional segment, keep in mind it is very, very easy to create a custom segment. And so whatever way you want to slice and dice your data, we can do that and then report on that throughout the system. So like I said, keep that strategy in mind. One other thing I'm going to mention, and I'm not going to go too deep into this because it will also end up being its own webinar, blog series thing as well. A lot of times, people will allow a segmentation at the header and at the line level. And I say both, right? Because you can do that. You can do just header, you can do just line level, and you can do both. That is an option. What we see a lot of times is, and it makes sense, right? People want those to be different. And that's fine. That's the way the system is designed to allow you to do that. But that does have some implications as far as when you look at your income statement and your balance sheet and how they affect those differently. There's also some implications that come along with that when you're looking at how your inventory is tracked throughout the system, right? So in your fulfillments and how that is hitting the GL and you're using your segmentation, right? So just some things that we want to take into account there. So if that's something that you are currently doing or something you're maybe thinking about doing, where you want to separate that out and have different segmentation at the header and line level, have a conversation with us about it, because there are some pitfalls that we can help steer you around there and make sure that you're not getting yourself into a kind of a mess of your data and not able to really see things clearly. But like I said, there are definitely reasons why you would want to do that and strategies for doing that, and we can help you through those instances as well. So like I said, please talk to us if that's something you're considering, or if you are noticing that you're having problems with that. And like I said, I think we're going to visit that at a deeper level sometime in the future soon. So stay tuned for that as well. Okay, I'm gonna go back over to my fun slides here. Let's go on to our next number 4. Not utilizing integrations. All right, so everyone knows NetSuite integrates with things. It's one of the best things about NetSuite. We are always happy to tell you when NetSuite doesn't maybe do something the best, when there's a third-party system that will do it better, or if you're using a third-party system and it just does not make sense to get rid of that because you're so ingrained in it, a department is using it in a certain way that it just makes more sense for them to keep using it that way. A lot of times we integrate those, right? And maybe that's a direct connection that we build. Maybe it's using one of the integration platforms that are out there that everyone's pretty familiar with, and that's great. But there are also so many things that we see within the implementation where we go, hey, we don't really need that integrated necessarily right now. We'll do that as a phase 2. And then we also see 2 to 3 years down the road, and phase 2 maybe happened, but it did not include those integrations, right? So think of the things that you're still doing, daily, monthly, weekly, however frequently, journal entries from another system, right? Maybe it's payroll. That's a frequent one that we see. And if that works for you, that's perfectly fine. But maybe there's something else that's not fully integrated or quite set up in a way that makes sense, right? It could be CRM, e-com, right? We see all those frequently. I said, now that you're in the system, you're maturing in the system, it makes sense to revisit those integrations, or something that you have since purchased after going live in NetSuite, right? It's a new system to you. And so it's completely, we never talked about it during the implementation phase. It never came up. Another department started using it. That's perfectly fine. And now it's ready to integrate it. That can also be something where you might want to bring us in on it, because you're live, right? And hopefully you have a sandbox and we test these things, but integrating a third-party system into a live account, there's always some issues there, dangers there, and we can help you to navigate those and make sure that things are mapped correctly, right? So the quick win here is, okay, what are some manual data processes that we could integrate? And that can be done many different ways. I know somebody asked in questions, what are ways that we could kind of automate the export of data or the import of data? And we actually have a customer right now that we're doing an implementation with, where we've built some scripting that is pulling in CSV files through an FTP, automatically. I think it's at least daily, if not more frequently than that, because they're using 2 other systems for payments and invoicing with their customers that they are not getting rid of, right? That will continue to stay on those other systems, and that's great, no problem with that. And we have automated the import of those transactions into NetSuite. So, that can be done in ways that are really simple. You don't necessarily have to go buy an integration platform to do it. There are different ways to take advantage of that. Like I said, I'm a fan of using third parties, and it totally makes sense. That's something as well. If you are contemplating a third party potentially, we are happy to discuss that with you as well. We are partners with many of these, and we look at it from the standpoint of we want to make sure that your business is running the best on NetSuite as possible. So we can help make recommendations or just vet solutions within your system to make sure that your customizations are going to continue to work. Similar thing with a current customer right now. We are looking at some third-party systems, and they have a custom script for pricing that we are currently vetting that to make sure that it will work correctly with potential integrations. Right. So there's always things to look out for there. It can be easy. It's not always as easy as it might seem. And so we want to look out for those things. And that's where we want to, kind of come in and help look at that as well. But where we encourage you, once again, get out of those manual processes if you can and integrate the system with your third parties. All right, going on to number 5. No internal champion. So this is a big one here for us. Now, a lot of you are larger companies that you have an admin, and that is great, right? If you do have a dedicated admin, we love that. That's awesome. We like working with admins. Sometimes it just doesn't make sense for you to have a full-time admin, and that's okay too. What we do encourage, though, is to give someone that, make them that champion, right? Give someone that empowerment to kind of take some ownership of the system, just as far as managing things through your business, and then with us or other third-party partners that you're working with. That can be at the department level. That could be at the whole organization level. The reason that's important is, it is much easier to go and work with a single point of contact who has better knowledge, if not full knowledge, but better knowledge of your system, and are able to take that back to other internal departmental champions and make sure that they're managing at that level. Like I said, they don't have to be an admin. We're not expecting someone to go through and get certified in NetSuite or anything like that. It's just very important that you kind of have some, 1 or 2 people even that are those power users, that you're giving that extra level of kind of knowledge of your system. They don't have to have extra rights to it. We understand, there's always some permissions issues there as well. I'm not saying you should hand them the keys to the kingdom, but that knowledge of the setup and the processes within your account, that's what's key, right? And so, like I said, that helps us, especially when we're working with you. Hey, how can we, make sure that we're looking out for each of the different departments? And then going back to our first 4, mistakes that we talked about today, right? We want to automate things. We want to customize things or configure things to ourselves, right? These champions can help with that as well, right? NetSuite, we always implement it and we get you up and running. And like I said, that's great. And we don't leave you then, but I understand, because I've been on your side, the real challenge then comes in getting your day-to-day users in the system, taking ownership of it, making it their own, and wanting to use it, right? By having a champion that will help them and will push those processes to automate, to update, optimize the processes for those users specifically, that is going to be such a big win in your change management, right? That's going to be such a big win for your organization to really take ownership of your system. And you're going to see results and return on your investment of NetSuite so much faster. And having that champion to push that is really big, right? It's always good to come top down, right? We want your execs pushing that as well. But having someone that's using it day to day and really, working with those different departments, that's a great win as well. And like I said, I've seen implementations that implementation went great, and then it failed because the companies didn't adopt it well, right? The users didn't adopt it well. Well, it was, maybe the system was set up perfectly fine, but if the users don't use it, it's not going to do much. So, like I said, kind of giving that empowerment to people, that's a really big one, and something you should, definitely consider within your organization. All right, so that's mistake number 5. We went through 5 things. I went through them pretty quickly, actually. But wait, there's more if you buy now. I'm kidding. But we do have a bonus for you. One mistake that we see is not using Techfino's continued success program. Here's our shameless plug. I know. But this is also very important too. We have a great team of people who are ready to help you with any of these mistakes that we've talked about today, right? Any of the things that you're not taking advantage of in the system, and helping to make your system your own and optimizing it for your business, right? That's the next step. And so, like I said, that changes frequently. We get it. You may have gone through an acquisition. Either you acquired someone or you got acquired. You may have a new business unit, right? You should be growing. And so your system should need help because of that, right? It's never going to be 100% working, exactly the way you want it, because your business is always changing. There's always new challenges, new tariffs, whatever it may be, that are coming at you, right? So we want to help, to keep your system right there with you. It should not be holding you back. Techfino's continued success program is the way that we help our customers do that very easily. There is a cost as far as you buy hours, but there's no like contracts that you have to sign.
It's very
Locking you
flexible.
into
Yeah,
anything.
it's very, you can commit to 3 months and on 10 hours a month. So that's what I love about it, is I've came from a very structured contract process. Techfino, we're here to work with you. So we're going to make it flexible. And so whatever you need, if you have a specific project, a certain, procure to pay that workflow that's not working for you, please, come to us and, we can have a contract that works with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And what that does too, and the other thing is, it means we can get to work on what you need so much faster, right? And so that's the key, right? Is you call us up and we're ready to go, and you have a team of people here who know your system and can know the intricacies of it, know the customizations of it, and are better equipped to help you out faster. That's really key as well, right? So, we encourage you to talk to us about that. Alyssa and team can definitely help you out with that, right? And we love that. So, all right, sorry, I'm going to shut up. Alyssa, it's all you now. I'm going to hand it back over.
Well, yeah, okay. That was actually very quick. We said we would keep it quick. So thank you everyone for attending. I am checking for, I don't think I've seen any. Feel free to put in the chat any questions. We have definitely time, so we can work with you on answering any questions that maybe have come up. But yeah, here is my counterpart, Sean, is also a customer success manager. So you feel free, we'll get you in the right direction. Feel free to reach out to either of us and we can help you with anything really.
I see a couple questions here. Alyssa, if you want me to kind of
Oh
jump
yeah,
in a second. One person asked about putting customer invoicing on autopilot. Lots of different ways to do that, and actually somebody else asked too about kind of automating some of the collections there as well. So there are billing schedules within NetSuite that allow you to create automated invoice creation, right? So we've talked in the past about some of our bulk processing screens. Let me pull my NetSuite back up here too. And you'll see that I love that reminder on the dashboard of taking you to the bulk processing screen to create your invoices. But you may want to completely automate that entire thing. So we do that through billing operations in the system, and you can see how we would come in here and set our criteria of what are we billing for? What are the specific customer groups or subsidiaries or dates and times that runs, right? So we can automate that invoice creation. And then on the collection side of things, NetSuite also has a dunning module. So obviously you can always go into your customers and send them emails. That dunning module is going to automate that process for you. So you can set up, hey, we're going to email them at 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and this is what those emails need to look like. So you can, take that out of manual mode, not something that you have to focus on, every day, and let the Dunning module run for you as well. So that's one that we see used frequently, and these are both great tools to automate your invoicing processes in NetSuite. Let's see, what was the other one here that I saw just a second ago? Sorry. Oh, I saw someone asked about customer specific P&L, right? Income statement, let's say. So that's one thing, just very quickly, right? You can actually filter it by a specific customer within the income statement, so that if you want to see it that way, we can definitely, you want to do it, one by one. You can also customize this report to throw in that level of data for the customers. You can also do that within the workbook analytics. So yeah, definitely a way to kind of see that view of your P&L by customers specifically, and whether it's a summary view or a detailed view, and we'd be happy to help you build out what that looks like exactly. So definitely something that can be done as well. I think that's all I'm seeing at the moment. And see if there's any others that are coming. Flip it back over here so that y'all can be sure to scan the QR code here if you want, and able to schedule your sessions.
Yeah, definitely. Next step, I'll be reaching out, and so will Sean, to schedule one-on-one sessions. So you get a free 1 hour to work with a consultant for a strategy session. So we can really, go into your accounts. I know every account is personalized, so we can work with you on the challenges that you're seeing. And with that, we want to appreciate everyone attending. Yes, please, scan the QR code, reach out to me or Sean with any questions, and we can get you in the right direction. So thank you so much, Jonathan.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your week. Yeah, thank you.